Hi everyone, and welcome to the SportIn Global podcast. And today, we're bringing it a little bit more personal. We're gonna dive and talk a little bit about the SportIn Global Summit. And I'm happy to have with me, Christian Martin and Austin. First of all, thank you guys for taking the time and, for being part of the podcast. I'm excited to have you both here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And Austin, it's your first podcast as a participant. How does it feel?
That is correct. Definitely, I'm excited. It's just something along my journey that I get to, start doing. And being with the podcast, I never would have thought I would have been doing a podcast this early in my career. But here we are. So
here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to do well. Obviously, I think we're just going to start right on, with Christian. And I think, for our audience and for those that are listening in, and I feel like it's actually people all over the world. It's kind of funny, we have, a global audience. It's very cool. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. But Christian, why don't you share a little bit about yourself, your background, and then, they can know a little bit better who Christian Martin is.
Sure. Awesome. Well, let me talk about just my life getting into sports. So my name is Christian. I grew up in San Francisco, California for the most part, and spent a lot of my, childhood playing sport. I love sports. So playing sports like basketball, playing lacrosse. I did Little League baseball, pretty much whatever season it was, I was playing some sort of sport that was going on.
Yeah.
And, sports taught me a lot of values. And the funny thing, didn't really think about it career-wise until I really hit college.
Right.
I took a sports marketing course and I was like, oh, wow, there are careers in sports. There's people that put on games and talk about sports and that there's a career path in that, right? And that was something that I never thought, but I knew that I really love sports. And so, that was kind of my first interaction thinking about sports in a career fashion. Was through a sports marketing course I took at the University of San Diego, where I did my undergrad in international business. And, from that interaction, I got connected to other people through my professor there that had careers in sports and that did sport management degrees. And that's how, yourself and myself, Ole, met at the University of San Francisco Sport Management program, which I decided to do after my undergrad, get the sport management master's.
And what a great program it was. What a great program.
It's still a great program. And,
100%.
there are, our alumni are, some of the best positioned people in the sports industry, I think. And
Absolutely.
the quality of the professors that we've had the opportunity to engage with, has really opened a lot of doors for us. So for that, I'm really grateful.
We're also happy to have him as a partner at the SportIn Global Summit and also on the platforms. We're super excited about that. And I just wanted to put that in before I'll let you continue, Christian.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know we had Daniel Rasher speak at our last America Summit, who's director of academic programs there for the sport management program. So that was really awesome to hear him share about, research and data and, how decisions are being made on such as purchasing players and whether or not that's a good decision for a team, right? So
always an important question.
Yeah, no, it was, hey, Ronaldo going over to Juventus, for example, that was a huge, move in the industry. And, was that really worth the, the millions of dollars they paid for that transfer, right?
Yeah, so. That's a good question. And Austin, obviously you're a little bit early in your sports career, if I would say so myself. But you're passionate about this. And why don't you kind of share a little bit about yourself and what is it about sports that you're that's something that I want to be part of.
So yeah, I'm same as Christian. I grew up playing, sports and, just with injuries, I happened to move around with, through different sports. I started off playing tennis and then I went to soccer and then ultimately I went to golf. But the reason I would say that I'm compelled and interested in going into the industry is because in itself, there's like a competitive drive. There's a competitive nature working within the sports industry.
Yeah.
And I think that's where channeling, how do you bring playing a sport and putting it into your profession, and it's that competitive drive, to do better or to analyze something further. So that's what pushes me to go towards the sports industry.
Nice. And you're already on your journey towards exciting sport business career, or whatever you want to do in the sport industry.
Yeah, that's definitely correct. And just, being able to open new doors and, just see where the opportunities can lead is very exciting.
And I mean, especially, like one of the opportunities though for you now is obviously working with the SportIn Global Summit. And obviously we're going to talk a little bit about how that opportunity came to life. But before that, Christian, I was thinking obviously, me and you, we had like this conversation during the summer here, and not too long ago. It feels like it's, been so long, but yet it's very short time since we discussed sort of like the idea behind the summit. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts of why you wanted to be part of it, and sort of the collaboration behind it. What was it, what was the value for you, and how did you felt okay, I can be part of something, great here?
Yeah. Well, I have to say that, my background as well, I've worked with a lot of startups. I'm an entrepreneur. Right. And so I love making big visions come to life. And that's why for Christian Martin Associates, let's fulfill your destiny is our tagline. Right. Because we really want the clients that we work with, in terms of, the goals that they want to achieve. We do it from an operational perspective, which I could talk about later. Yep. But, we really want to make sure that they get the result and achieve greatness in the category that they're in. So when it came to us, speaking about it, we were doing some, coaching consulting work earlier, and hearing about, the pain point of okay, we need to grow, we need to expand, we need to get more, people onboarded, more job opportunities on the SportIn Global site. How's that going to work? And I know that you'd already talked about, had ideas around doing some sort of, conference summit, something to bring people together earlier. But, when it comes to me and, the value I provide for my clients, it's all right, well, let's make it happen. I am that catalyst, that fire that figures out how to do it. Yeah. So, that's kind of how it started between you and me around the SportIn Global Summit, and, leveraging the resources and the connections that we had to put on, not only one event, but we got two more coming down the pipeline.
Crazy stuff. And it's been a fun journey.
So hopefully that's enough.
I mean, I'm sure if it goes well, it will be plenty more. This is just the beginning of something amazing. But I think you're touching upon something really important, though, Christian. And I mean, also you can share your thoughts too. But I feel one of the things we talked about is sort of entrepreneurial spirits, is that, and this reminds me a lot of the talks I had with Nola, which is also one of the professors at USF. And I had this impression of what is an entrepreneur, And for me, it was I never saw myself as an entrepreneur, because I always thought I was it's a person who's always been trying to start a business since they were 10, 12, and always been very entrepreneurial minded, and always trying to make something, and I said I never been that, but I had very high ambitions. And then she said something that was I can live with this, and that was essentially that an entrepreneur is someone that sees a problem and does something about it. And I think what we saw as well with the summit was that there was a problem now where people were obviously there's a lot of stuff going on with podcasts and live sessions and everything happening, but we said there's people are frustrated, people are not, it's a rough situation to be in. What can we do to ease the pain a little bit and give them a something to think about ahead, which is obviously why we chose the topic data and the future of sports, because we want to look ahead and want to see why, and look more on the brighter side, when after all the clouds have disappeared and the sun is coming out of the blue and the blue skies, that's what we want to focus on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And to follow up on that, and then Austin, let's get you to comment on this. But we were actually just talking about it earlier. So Austin, is an intern, with me at Christian Martin Associates, and one thing I do as part of the internship program is like mentorship. And so we had a mentorship meeting just before this, and we were talking about the elements of like preparation to help you for success.
Yeah.
And I think those are very much included and what we're doing at the SportIn Global Summit to prepare people for the future and be like, look, data and technology is transforming the industry, and it's doing so at an even more accelerated pace now because of COVID and everything that's happening, where, the structures, this is where, like I said, my operational ability comes in. It's like the structures we had in place in the past are can no longer support what is needed for the future.
Yeah, and so crisis leads to innovation.
Exactly. And there's ways that you can go about it and principles that you can follow that could help you to restructure your organization, how you do things, so that you can, set yourself up well for success in the future. So
Austin, what did you learn on your mentor session right now? Just out of curiosity,
Just with, I like using this quote for this is like, Nike, just do it. A lot, if you got the dream, you just have to go for it, knowing that there's going to be drawbacks, but that those drawbacks though create, a better person, and you learn from those drawbacks to move on to create, something better. So a lot of that is in times just, reflecting and seeing where you can improve upon within your life, and whether that's reflecting on your strengths and also reflecting on your weaknesses.
Yeah, no, for sure, it's a really good point. And I think everyone, like Nike, has a great slogan, that I think emphasizes everything from making things happen and being a little bit entrepreneurial, whether that's being active on the field or in business or what it might be. It's sometimes you just got to do it, as you kind of go by, and
you just got to start somewhere, and then just go from there.
Very entrepreneurial mindset, which is great.
And I'd also add to the let's do it. It sounds like you're doing it with other people, like it's like teamwork, because it's plural, right? Yeah. So yeah, you could also look at it that way too.
No, for sure. And if you're gonna succeed, you can't do anything alone. So it's obviously, why we, it's very important that we had to work with key people. And obviously, why Christian got an intern to help him, as well with his business. But also, why don't we talk a little bit about, obviously you got kind of recruited through the SportIn Global platform. And I just wanted to if you could share a little bit about how was your experience from creating a profile, applying for the job, for the internship, and just, how did you experience it? And obviously we're trying to learn from it, but it's just your thought process of obviously as a new generation, which we try to fine tune, it would be nice to kind of hear share your thoughts of how your experience was.
Yeah. So, I first applied through Christian, and then Christian sent me to the SportIn Global website for me to then further fill out my profile and also apply for the internship. So when I first got onto the internship, web page within the SportIn Global website, it was pretty easy to navigate. I just got to fill out, a little bit about myself, filling out all the basics, and then sending over the cover letter. And then once that was all done, it was flawless. And then moving on from that, I had a Zoom with you later on, I believe that following week, and just talking a little bit about my story and where I would like to be headed and the opportunity present within SportIn Global.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it's kind of, you felt it was a smooth process. And I don't know, Christian, if you want to share a little bit from your side too, how you obviously, getting the application in, using the system for scheduling and all this stuff, I think would be great for people to hear too.
Yeah, I mean, the platform, I feel like compared to like a LinkedIn or whatever, is much more integrated. So, you have the profiles, they pop up there, and then you could also shortlist candidates and also, set up interviews from within the platform.
Right.
So that was nice to have everything integrated in one place just to like get that done. And then, yeah, I mean, then we set up the interview like from that schedule thing, and then I basically said, yeah, I hired this guy because Austin was awesome. So
Right, which you did in the platform, and then everyone gets happy. Christian get like a notification that is being hired, and all this good stuff, which is like,
Yeah, also adding on, filling out a profile, that it's I just like how it's all there on one page, and you just keep scrolling down, and you just keep, filling out each line, which was
right.
I like that a lot. There's not that many tabs clicking around. It's just all right there, right in front of you, and you
Yeah.
just fill it out.
Looking into the future, the beginner faces a choice that leads him to the triumph, or not. Being surrounded by like-minded professionals can be the best guarantee that you actually take that crucial career step.
SportIn Global is a digital network for sports jobs. It gives you the chance to be involved in the sports industry no matter who you are, regardless of gender, nationality, and experience.
Our AI system matches up talent with human resources. Candidates who align with the company's values and needs immediately get shortlisted. It saves time for HR and increases the opportunities available to applicants.
The platform identifies tailor-made recommendations based on user needs, so you're always aware of the possibilities out there right now.
SportIn Global is a place where students gain key tips about jobs and build the valuable connections that are essential for people at the beginning of their career path.
The path from candidate to champion starts with a single step in the right direction. Sign up to SportIn Global.
SportIn Global, the best way to enter the sports industry.
Well, that means a lot. I mean, like, obviously simplicity, right? And sort of like keeping it, I think all of us, and especially like your generation, Austin, I'm trying to like keep myself in your generation, but I'm realizing I'm getting older. but it's sort of like this thing, where, we're very impatient, people, and it's about like, how can we, make it as, simple, but at the same time keep it valuable. And I think like you mentioned about that in the process too, of like, sending in the cover letter. This is like sort of like an extra step we did as a way of like, well, if Austin is really interested, he shouldn't have any problem just either uploading a cover letter or type it in, which you can also do, and send that as a sort of like an extra, okay, I'm really into this, I want to be part of it. And if you're not, then we kind of like, exclude the ones that are not as interested. And that will also help, Christian and other companies in that process. But without making this, too much about recruitment, because this is not what the topic is about. It's about the summit. And I honestly just wanted to hear you guys' thoughts on, how you guys felt the SportIn Global Summit Americas edition went, maybe bring up some key highlights. And I'm going to start with you, Christian. Like, what was your key highlight from the Americas edition?
I think, first of all, there was a lot of information presented.
Absolutely.
So there was a lot to learn. I mean, I know, for example, Daniel Rasher led off the event, and I've taken classes with him, I think at least 2.
Yeah, me too.
And there was still information and like, stories and like his research that he's done that I was not aware of that he was talking about at the summit. That, definitely made me think about the industry from a different perspective. And, it was very valuable to have insights from him and his experience, right? Because he's worked with NBA, NHL, MLB, NCAA. I mean, you name it, he's worked with them. Yeah, he's worked with so to, have people like that at the SportIn Global Summit that have really done it all and know the industry like the back of their hand, and be able to learn from their experience was incredibly valuable. And I honestly, it was hard to moderate and take in the information at the same time. So that's something that would definitely be easier. So I'll have to go back and watch the recording to really, I feel like, get the full exposure to it. But
right.
that was,
and all of those are
yeah.
on our YouTube channel, the SportIn Global YouTube channel. So you can watch that, obviously for those of you that didn't attend or want to, just rephrase and like, what exactly did Dan Rasher said or Scott or like Marilu, and kind of like just get back in. What about you, Austin? Like, what was your highlight?
For me, definitely, it was just the speakers and, what they brought to the table.
Yeah.
And just listening to, where we're headed within data, technology, and sports, and where, you can further, as an individual or as a group, you can further expand your knowledge so that you can adapt within these times.
Yeah. All right. It's super important, what you're bringing up there, and like how, again, like the whole purpose of the summit was to shed light on like how we're going to solve this situation together and looking into the future, and how obviously data and technology will be a very important part of it. And especially for you guys, like Austin and the new generation coming up, like what is some of the trends you guys should look at and try to be prepared for your journey, because this will be key moving forward. And I mean, like for me, I mean, like obviously it's as Christian said, it's sort of hard, digesting all the information because we're so involved in like sort of running the show. But what I felt for me was just, how many people, that attended it, and how many positive feedback we got for like our first summit. I'm just amazed over the response, how people, interacted with it, like how many good questions we received, and just you felt like, the purpose behind the summit was completed in a sense, and it was kind of like starting to make the form of like what we wanted to achieve when we came up with the idea, and that is probably like my key highlight, from my side at least.
Yeah, and if I could expand upon that, like we had hundreds of people register for this event, which is super exciting for like a first time event, right? And
Absolutely.
already we're leading up for Europe and then Asia Pacific afterwards, and like those numbers are soaring too, so that is really exciting. And yeah, I think what was great about our summit that made it different from maybe some of the other summits is like, we really called out the individual questions that people like wanted to get responses to. It was not like we had like all pre-set questions or whatever. Like we were actually getting questions that people like wanted to get answers to that were attending, whether they were students or other sports professionals.
Right.
And then we also had the interactions going on the SportIn Global platform at the same time, right?
Absolutely.
Where you could go to the speaker's profile, you could go into the sweet spot, post things in there. So that was cool to have both of those things going on as well.
Right. And seeing like an active summit, and not just people, of course, listening in, but actually being, active in the chat or on the platform of connecting with the speakers, sharing their thoughts, their insights, and their questions. And let's dive a little bit into like then sort of like the expectations I think we have for like the next one, and just to make sure everyone like, okay, the next one is going to be the European edition. We have a lot of great speakers coming up. What kind of expectations do you have, Austin, from like for the next one? Like, what do you want to see, or like, what do you expect?
On my end, just like a good positivity around it, and with good engagement as well.
Yeah.
Whether that's, through social media, through, our SportIn Global website, that, people are excited to come and see what SportIn has to offer.
Right. No, it's a good point. And also using the apps, we have the apps too. So you can, not only the website, but you can download the apps, which is great. What about you, Christian?
Yeah, I'm excited. Platform for delivering this type of stuff. So really user friendly and easy to make that experience just elevated to another level for everyone. So we're excited to pursue that for the next summit. And I think also just like all the speakers we have are great.
Yeah.
But I think with regards to the people that have been picked for this summit for Europe, it's a very special group. And I think that ranging from all different industries like soccer and biomechanics and every single thing within sports.
Even a blockchain here.
blockchain. Yeah. Yeah. You know, with a little bit of like sports betting, right? Like it's like there's so much in this within the different niches of the sports industry that you can learn from.
Right.
And I think, you know, we've done a really good job at, you know, picking, you know, people with not only like tons of experience and, you know, working at really amazing companies, but that are also, you know, have these specialties in these different areas that provide a broad spectrum of, you know, what the sport industry will look like in the future and how data plays a part.
Absolutely. I agree. And I think, you know, from my side, it's essentially just, you know, that people, like the momentum, you know, essentially keeps going, that, you know, that they feel like, oh, this is something that I learned from. This is something that helped me on my journey. And I mean, like, you know, how do you measure that? But it's sort of like, you know, that people come back and say, you know, this was good. I learned something from this. I connected with some of the speakers on the SportIn Global platform. I had the opportunity, you know, to dig into and learn what, and even ask like questions. And, you know, we try to like, you know, pick as many as we can, but I mean, like, that's why we have like 10 minutes of questions, so people can actually like, you know, ask questions if you have them and utilize the opportunity. And I think like what I liked from the previous one too was that people actually, you know, took advantage of that opportunity and asked great questions. And, you know, obviously together with some great speakers, I think, you know, everyone should really, you know, make sure to, you know, even if you have only an hour, it's going to be 3 hours roughly, but only if you have an hour, you know, make sure to tune in, maybe select your favorite speakers or what it might be. But I think regardless of your interest and your passion in the sport industry, you can learn so much from all of them, you know, because they all have their experience, their way of thinking that I think, you know, you will benefit from when you're going to be part of this. And yeah, I mean, like, from your side, like, obviously, you know, we've been talking a lot about, you know, the previous summit, like obviously the next one coming up, you know, very shortly now. And if you could say like, you know, I mean, like, okay, you can do like 1 to 5 words of like why someone should sign up and attend the summit. What would it be? What would it be?
1 to 5 words is tough, but I will say, I mean, this is how I see the sports industry, though. You know, it's a very small community.
Right.
And what is really cool now is that is being expanded globally. So it's a little bigger, but it's still small, right? But, you know, I think if you're serious about the sports industry, whether you're in it or you want to get into it, that it's events like these that you need to make sure that you're a part of so that you know what's going on. And also to build connections, because, you know, it's not who you know, it's who knows you in the sports industry. So
that quote there is amazing. It's so accurate.
You got it.
So true. What about you, Austin? Why should people attend?
If I'm going to sum it up with kind of just, you know, one word, it would definitely be momentum, and just kind of, you know, seizing the opportunity, because we all know that we're headed towards this, you know, we're already headed towards this big data. And with SportIn Global, you know, providing the framework and talking about, you know, this information and, you know, where we're headed, it's just providing you with the opportunity to, you know, really put your foot in the door, but then also get in the door and reach out to these contacts.
100%. And I would say, think about it as the middle ground between the academic and professional world. You know, use this as an opportunity to connect, learn, and utilize it for what it's worth, you know?
Like you're SportIn, and, you know, with providing these summits where you're really creating a bridge, a gap. You're filling that gap in order for, you know, me and other people like me to, you know, cross that river.
Absolutely. And that's our goal. And I mean, like, of course, just when we're about to wrap it up, I would just like to give like a huge, you know, thank you for, you know, for GSIC, for being part of this, to obviously you guys, you know, Christian Martin and Associates for being part of it, and all our other amazing partners. Our partner list, you know, has been growing since our last one. So, you know, make sure to check out those and connect with the speakers, connect with us at the SportIn Global platform. And I mean, like, I think that's it for now, guys. I think I would just say, make sure to sign up, because last time, like, the seats were flying fast, the virtual seats, I would say. So make sure to sign up, and you will get like reminders of when things are coming out. Make sure to be inside the SportIn Global platform so you can get like the news about the event like first before everyone else. Just make sure to follow SportIn Global there. And yeah, like I said, connect with us, connect with the speakers, and take advantage of the opportunity, And we try to, our focus is always to like, how can we create the most value for the future generation of the sport industry, and especially the young students and professionals. And I think that separates us from a lot of other events and summits out there, is that we focus on helping you guys, to take that step and understand a little bit easier, like what it takes to succeed. And this is a great opportunity to learn from the brightest minds in Europe, I would say. So any final remarks from you, Christian?
No, I'm excited to go and do this again. Our first event was a huge success. This next one's going to be another great, huge success. And
it's going to be amazing.
I think, we're really providing a lot of value here, and it's great to be part of it.
Absolutely. What about you, Austin?
Yeah, we're just looking to keep providing the utmost value and looking to turn these opportunities into manifestation.
Absolutely. Well, with that, everyone, I would like to thank, Christian and Austin for taking the time to being part of the podcast. It's been a pleasure having you part of it. And for all of you listening, thanks for taking the time. And with every video podcast, whatever we do, we always finish with, lyssna kiss.